is hot here in the United Kingdom and I'm probably going to sweat my ass off, but I would do that anyway because it's time for Ups and Downs for SmackDown, the show where we give the good bits an up and the bad bits a down. And you know him, he's a finger of power. Sometimes we fall out, sometimes we have disagreements, but don't aim your angry comments at me. You talk to this guy. Look at him, being all fingery. But a very interesting episode of SmackDown is done, so we've got to go through it. And of course, make sure you travel back 24 hours and watch Retro Ups and Downs. We did ECW One Night Stand 2005, which may as well be called Hardest Chair Shots Ever, and get involved in that there poll on Tuesday, which I will reveal to you during Raw Ups and Downs. But for now, it's time for SmackDown. SmackDown started with a big focus on Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt, and we had a bunch of footage from everything that happened in the Swamp match, including Strowman getting drowned, as you do, and then we flipped over and reminded everyone, oh yeah, don't forget what happened between Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. It set us up for the evening. We cut straight from this to the Firefly Funhouse, and Bray Wyatt had a very straightforward point he wanted to make. He has seen all the DMs, but don't get mad at him for everything that happened with Alexa Bliss last week. You should blame the Fiend. I mean, that was great. It's like when somebody on the internet sends you a comment or a message going, I hope you die, and then you reply with something silly like, oh, shut up, you doofus, and they're like, how dare you say that to me? I am offended and I can't believe it. Right, yeah, good work, pal. Anyway, Bray also went on to say that it was all Braun Strowman's fault because he didn't come back from the dead to save his friend. I made that bit up about coming back from the dead, but really, it was implied. The point is, the Fiend wants a shot at the Universal title, and small spoiler, I think he's gonna get it. From here, we zoomed right into our first match, which was Matt Riddle versus Sheamus. And if you were thinking to yourself, wait a minute, why isn't it Chad Gable, aka Shorty G? Well, as always, I went out there and I found out why. Ever wonder why a bald man who is talking to you on a wrestling review show all of a sudden becomes Doom Guy from the video game Doom? Well, like a lot of things in life, especially professional wrestling, sometimes stuff just happens. So if you're struggling with the fact that really it should have been Matt Riddle versus Shorty G based on the story last week, just calm down and remember, stuff just happens. And if you need more, you can call us at 0800 Stuff Just Happens. Somebody is always waiting to take your call. And why am I all of a sudden wearing a hat? A very nice hat. Stuff just happens. Here's the thing as well. I would have been happy with these two having a hard-hitting match, which they did, and Matt Riddle winning. Now, I'm the biggest Sheamus fan in the world. I don't think he should lose again, but if Matt Riddle is the project, then Matt Riddle has to be the push project. I even thought we were going to do this at 1.2, and what an absolute buffoon I am, because this was really, really good, and they were having some great momentum. Like at one point, like Matt Riddle went from the floating bro, but he landed on his feet. Then he went to hit Sheamus, but Sheamus missed that and smashed him with the Irish curse white noise thing. It looked awesome. However, after they had fought to the outside, and Riddle just kneed Sheamus right in the face, the walking biscuit, the Instagram post, Shorty G, came from nowhere. He attacked Matt Riddle, and that was it. It was over. Down. Every damn week, and I was so into this too. I was so into it too, it's like a tennis match. I was like, oh wow, but I really like Sheamus, but I really like Matt Riddle. Who's going to win? You know, like sports. And then, I don't know, Shorty G just woke up and thought, oh, I better lug it to the ring, and he ran out there, being all short, even though he's not short. He was able to beat up Riddle for a little while, but eventually Matt just grabbed him and threw him into the ring steps. And when Sheamus realized what was happening, he was so pissed off, he broad kicked Gable right in the face. So any hope we had last week this was going to be some big push or some big turning point for Mr. Biscuit, well, we were absolutely wrong. He's now an even bigger joke than he was 7 days ago, and I didn't think that was possible. I will learn one day, maybe, probably not. I'm an absolute sucker. You could have just had any other kind of finish, especially because later on, you needed a finish like this, and that sucked too, because you overdid. Sheamus then went and yelled at Baron Corbin in the back because he thinks the king is responsible for all of this. And Baron was like, I don't care about you right now. I'm too busy worrying about Jeff Hardy. This was also actually a major plot hole. Usually they're not this glaring, but why would King Corbin send Shorty G down to the ring to do all of this when his whole point is he wants someone to take out Matt Riddle, and at the time, Sheamus was doing a pretty good job in taking out Matt Riddle. Okay, I know I shouldn't do this. I know I'm an idiot, I'm a loser there. Look, I've done your job for you. But sometimes things get me because I'm just so unprepared for what WWE is going to throw out there. Because it was the dirt sheet next, and Miz and John Morrison's very special guest was Mandy Rose's hair that Sonya Deville had cut off last week. They had put googly eyes on it. They were talking as if they were Mandy Rose's hair. No one's around. I laughed. We also had more technical issues here, which Miz blamed on brand new group RETRIBUTION. And you know those guys, they cause chaos by turning light switches on and off, but then they all calm down like, well, it's not going to be RETRIBUTION because they're a Raw faction, so everybody should be all right. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. These goofs then did indeed interview the fake hair, and it went way too long, and in many ways it was terrible, but it tickled me. And I think it especially tickled me because this idea must have been pitched backstage, and everyone just went, yeah, we should do it. I can't help myself. I'm an idiot. It was likely to plant the seed that we are going to have a feud between Heavy Machinery and John Morrison and The Miz, and then they revealed their true special guest and the real victim from last week, which was Sonya Deville. And that is some flubbed up logic right there. She was fire as always and started running down Mandy by saying the only reason she got to where she did in the first place is because she was kissing Otis and because she walks around in a bikini every now and then. And Sonya was like, everybody thinks you're about to hear Rose's music, but you're not. I took her out last week and look at me, look how confident I am. She ain't strutting nowhere. Some people that were there, however, were Otis and Tucker, and they ran down to the ring and started smashing ass. That sounded far worse than I meant it to. And of course, because Miz, John Morrison and Sonya Deville are heels, they legged it and ran away like, oh, we're really scared. And I'm okay with all of this. I like all the programs. I think Sonya Deville is absolutely brilliant. And again, the hair thing, not good, not saying it was, but I got something out of it. I got a kick out of it. So all together, let's get it up. It was then Lince Dorado versus Cesaro next. I mean, what the hell else are we gonna do? Go in my pocket. What have I got? That's right, it's an up. Naturally ties into the fact that their respective tag teams are feuding, and they just flew around here like birds in the sky. I mean, Cesaro, he's just so good. I know you know that, and I know that, and my auntie Jean knows that, and she doesn't even watch wrestling, but sometimes it's just nice to say the Swiss Superman is a phenomenal one. We had more light flicking throughout all this as Michael Cole worried that RETRIBUTION may be here, and I chuckled at that because it sounded like he thought Jim Ross was going to come out of nowhere and punch him in the face for taking his job. And obviously that did not happen. And there was also this brilliant bit where Cesaro caught Dorado out of midair and gave him a backbreaker that sent him into another dimension. After that, Lince then started his comeback and at one point was just stood on Cesaro's shoulders. All of this was pretty darn wonderful. All it did was piss off the European cuffy luffer though, and he grabbed him, he hit the Gotch neutralizer, and he got the 1, 2, 3. So that's another singles win for Cesaro in 2020. And who the hell saw that coming? I mean, global pandemics and no crowd shows, and Cesaro basically on a winning streak and being a tag team champion. There is some good to take from these last few months. In the back, Heavy Machinery were then livid, especially Otis, because you can say whatever the hell you want about him, but you don't say anything about his peach, Mandy Rose. I mean, all of this is pretty darn mad, but at least it's consistent. I know where we've been, and I kind of think I know where we're going, although I have no clue what we're going to do with that Money in the Bank briefcase. Okay, so then it was time to follow up everything from last week with The Fiend, and he made his proper entrance here with his badass entrance music, and it was kind of cool to see that on SmackDown because it's a rarity. But then, when he was in the ring, and we went to a commercial break and came back, just sat there was Alexa Bliss. How? It was me, I did it. I just thought, wouldn't it be fun if Alexa Bliss magically appeared in the ring? So I went, Jalabadoo, and there she was. Aren't I just an incredible wizard in the sky? I have so many powers, and I abused them. I abused them so badly to the point you won't have any trust in me. But I saw how much everyone liked Alexa Bliss in the segment last week, and I couldn't figure out how to work her in the story, so I just went, kablam! And there she was, wizard in the sky. He then started to crawl towards her, but now she's not scared at all, and she was almost enticing him in. Like when he went for the mandible claw, she stroked his face as if he was her pet goat, and he recalled like, oh no, what's going on? It was really, really strange. Then to make this even more odd, Braun Strowman just returned from his grave on the big screen and essentially said, look, I don't care about any of this, and Bray, you can have your match. But surely he should have been out there to try and do something. But instead he was just like, well, I didn't even know where he was because the camera was like here. It couldn't have been closer to his face. Also, how is he not dead? Genuinely, how is he not dead? At least AJ Styles had the respect for us to come out and go, oh, you want to know how I'm alive? Well, I don't care. I'm not going to tell you. Braun here is just back. And for absolutely no reason. He drowned. The thing is though, while it was absolutely illogical, the presentation was so good because Bray Wyatt just understands his character so well that there's just something captivating when he is on screen. But if I try and explain this to anyone, especially someone that's trying to catch up, it's like I've missed a page in the book. Like it was stuck together and I didn't realise, and they'd be like, wait a minute, what happened in the middle there? And I'd be like, I don't know, you tell me. So we will water it right down to how I felt while I was watching it, and I really did dig it. It kind of feels like you've been transported to another dimension. However, I do want this Fiend done yesterday, and I just want the Fiend to be Universal Champion again. I just want to get there. But ultimately, you have to, I shouldn't be confused at the end of a segment. And if I may be wrong, there's the comments. You tell me if I've missed a trick or if I'm barking up the wrong tree. I do that like a dog, ruff, ruff. But yeah, I was mystified when we were done. So unfortunately, yep, no, I agree with you. It's a down. Also, what the flip was Braun on about? Hello, my name is Simon Miller and welcome to another episode of Nobody Talks Like That. This week starring the one and only Braun Strowman. Braun, I understood what you were trying to do, but when you said, Bray, you statistic bastard, ha 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 ha. Did you really think going after my emotions would work? I don't give a damn about Alexa. I only care about destroying you. I knew going into that swamp there's only two ways to come out. One, the most evil son of a bitch that Ala Wim one, that's what he said, the world has ever laid eyes on. Or two, a man with the satisfaction that he spat in the devil's face and whipped him limb from limb. And seeing that you're in that ring means you're looking at the most evil son of the bitch. I tried to fight it, tried to resist it, but I was pushed to my breaking point and I let it out, blah, 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 blah. I am more than a man. I am the thing that nightmares are made of. I am the monster. I have absolutely no idea what you were on about, and once more the camera was so close to your face, it was a bit like you didn't understand how they work. Just take one step back, you could even get this wonderful thing called a tripod, but mostly, my friend, nobody talks like that. I will say, however, there was a big hint here that now Strowman has kind of gone back to the crazy person he was in 2017 or whenever, and yeah, that's what happens when you do fight the Fiend, so as long as that kind of logic comes out and slaps me in the face, this will get a little bit better. My word, I swear, the WWE is just trying to wind me up. Because then we were getting Jeff Hardy versus Baron Corbin, and how did it end? Well, it ended exactly the same as Sheamus versus Matt Riddle. And yeah, sure, the story here is that Sheamus is just doing this to get revenge, but one, why didn't he come out straight away and cause the disqualification? And two, this is the reason you don't want to overdo these finishes. It probably should have happened here and could escalate whatever the hell you're trying to escalate, but when you do it over and over again, it's the law of diminishing returns and it gets a down. Of course, Sheamus also bro-kicked Hardy, meaning that Baron Corbin suffered the loss, and now officially Sheamus is the only guy that actually cares about win-loss records because he's going out there sniping to ensure they're all balanced out. The extra reason for that down too is that this then segued into Sheamus versus Baron Corbin. I had no idea who to root for. I was very confused when WWE just triggered WWE finish number 2, which is distraction, and Matt Riddle was out there. He did distract, and that allowed Sheamus to get the win. He just bro-kicked Baron Corbin right in the face. I think we should start doing this too. When somebody does want to cause a distraction, just make it like an RPG. So Matt Riddle comes out and he goes like, cause distraction using his MP points, and you get some cool like graphic or something. Basically just make it like Final Fantasy. You may as well make it like Final Fantasy. Jeff Hardy had also matched his face paint to his attire this week, and it really hurt my eyes. It made me all befuddled and it was strange. It's like doing one of those magic eye puzzles. We then learned that we were about to have a conference call between Bayley and Sasha Banks. I mean, okay, but who does this on live television? Surely you need to put it in your Google Calendar first. We also had this interview with Big E, and my word, this man, he just got me all fired up and he got me all ready. I mean, he went over his history with the New Day and said that he's ready for his singles run, and you know who else who's ready for that singles run? Oh, it would be me, the bald asshole. He is getting it up. Remember as well, we've all got to get on the Big E boat, the BEB, the Big E boat, and when you're on it, we ride that ship all the way to Universal Title Town. So it's now BEB Ut, Big E boat, Universal Title Town, and that's now how we greet each other. You go up to someone and you go BEB Ut, and if they like give you a wink and a nod and ruffle your hair, you know that they're on the Big E boat to Universal Title Town, and you hug and embrace, and we keep everything crossed that before the end of the year, we do have a brand new Universal Champion, and his name is flipping Big E. What a hero. It was then the conference call, and I felt really guilty watching this, like I was staring through my manager's office window, and I shouldn't have been, and I was going to get caught and then obviously fired. Anyway, the point of this is that while Stephanie is very proud of Bayley and Sasha Banks, she doesn't enjoy how they've been so flippant with her rules, even though the rules that she did introduce for that Oscar match were gibberish to begin with and were just asking to be toyed around with. Therefore, though, next week it is going to be a triple branded battle royal, and whoever does win that is going to take on Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship at SummerSlam. Who saw that coming? I mean, I actually think it's quite clear that we were meant to be doing Sasha Banks versus Bayley at SummerSlam, but we've just delayed it, which is probably the right thing to do. And if I'm being honest, if you wanted to set this up, it would have been cool if members from Raw, SmackDown, and NXT had run out here and beat up Bayley for what she did to Kairi Sane. I think that would be a nice little twist. But the thing is, I still like where we're going. Still think it's very strange that Stephanie McMahon appears on a big screen. And if you're a brand new viewer, you'd be like, who's this Mumra type character that's in control of everything? But I did enjoy this. I'm looking forward to that match. Gets it up. Surprisingly, our main event was then the Miz and John Morrison versus Heavy Machinery. We were not waiting around. I mean, who has time? One day we're going to be dead. This was pretty good too, and I think that was mainly because there was a massive reason for it. The Miz and John Morrison have been being massive dicks for ages, so did I want to see Otis and Tucker kick their ass? Well, yes I did. It just meant that every time either one of them did grab him, I was like, yeah, get him, flub him up, punch him. So it's an up. It's a very satisfying up. We are not allowed nice things though, because for approximately the 67,422 times on this SmackDown, we weren't able to get a clean finish. And this was doubly sore, and it doubly hurt because actually what WWE did was the correct thing, but as already noted, they had run it into the ground. Because halfway through, Mandy Rose, who I suppose was late to the building because she got lost or had to go trim up her hair because she was sporting a lovely new bob, ran down and she started to lay waste to Sonya Deville, and once again I was like, yeah, get her, she has been a dick too. But for some reason, because they were brawling in the ring I suppose, the referee just threw this match out, and then Miz, Morrison and Heavy Machinery were breaking these two up. And that was confusing. I was like, wait a minute, you knew what Sonya Deville did last week. You should be pushing Mandy Rose into her. Like, yeah, take her down. But it was just a waste of my life because, yeah, it just ended. It's just nothing. There's nothing to show for it, which was a huge case for almost every single match on this card. And that's why it has to get it down. As it turned out, this did continue backstage as they were held back and they continued to yell at each other when the lights went out. Ruh-roh. The commentary then freaked out because a bunch of dudes came to the ring in balaclavas and they were identified as Retribution. And at first I was like, what are you even scared of? What are they going to come and do? Flick the lights on and off again? Give you a wedgie? It's like they've been school children up to this point. You should have pointed and laughed. As it turned out, they had other plans. Now, before we get into this, I just want to say that WWE does need to treat its audience with a little bit more respect. Because before Michael Cole did run off, and my word, he hightailed it out of there and left Corey Graves, he shouted at about 100 miles an hour, oh my gosh, it must be Retribution, the group we saw on Raw, what are they going to do? I can't believe it, Retribution, new faction, we saw them Raw, they emailed, just let it play out. Just let it play out. Keep it ambiguous. Let us come to that conclusion, be cool. Thankfully though, we did finally up the ante because not only did all these guys and girls have a bunch of weapons, but they also went after official personnel, which meant all the cameramen were like, well, I'm not standing around. I don't get paid for this. So we had this weird like bird's eye cam. It was really different. It felt original, dare I say it, it felt fresh. They then attacked some of the crowd, including this one brutal attack where they took someone and just threw them into the barricade. And then one of them thought they were Marcus Phoenix from Gears of War because they got a chainsaw and they started chainsawing the ropes. Now I could have done without the whole word every time they did a rope. Like, so we did one and the crowd went, whoa. I was like, well, you should be a little bit more badass than that. But that is me picking holes. I tell you, I was invested. Also, imagine if that's what the Texas Chainsaw Massacre guy had done. That's a very different movie. So this is basically the Nexus Take 2, but if we right all the wrongs from that and actually have one of these wrestlers beat someone of note, you know, like Wade Barrett should have done, I actually think this will be a success. It shook up the show, which is good, and finally it's heading in the right direction. Once again, I don't mean to run it into the ground. We're not just stood there flicking the lights on and off. That's just silly. But did it intrigue me? Yep. Am I massively intrigued to see where it's gonna go? Yep. So you know what? I ain't arguing this one. It's getting it up. So while this SmackDown wasn't as good as last week's, which I felt like fired on all cylinders, when it was done, it had achieved its goal. I will tune into next week. I mean, I would have done otherwise, but this time I felt like I wanted to tune into next week, and that is good. That is fine. I like Retribution. I would have changed their name, but whatever. Again, we're just worrying about the things that don't matter. Overall, it's getting an up, but please let me know about Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman. What have I missed? I feel like the new kid at school. Now, yes, please don't forget to get in those comments and throw your opinions in there. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to What Culture Wrestling. Go and read other articles, whatculture.com. They've got ups and downs, like words. You can check that out. You can follow What Culture at Twitter, WhatCulture WWE to keep up to date. And you can watch more videos here on What Culture Wrestling. My name is Simon from What Culture. Thank you very much for joining me as always. Go check out Retro Ups and Downs, and I will see you soon.